coming from India all the way to Australia, having born and brought up here. And he is the link that we all look for. Just like we have Indians settled in Australia, there are Australians who settle in India as well. For that, I'd like to invite a young man, Pawan, to come up on stage so that he can give us a rendition of the national anthems of our two great democracies. Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthems of the two countries rendered by the future.
Australians, all let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is good by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strings, then let us sing, advance Australia fair. जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे, भारत भाग्य विधाता। पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा, द्राविड उत्कल बंगा। विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा, उच्चल जलधि तरंगा। तव शुभ नामे जागे, तव शुभ आशीष मागे। गाहे तव जय गाता, जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे, भारत भाग्य विधाता। जय हे, जय हे, जय हे, जय 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 हे।
Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Pawan, who not only sang the national anthem, but he is also our future, and the future of two great democracies and nations. Thank you so much for that, young man. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. What an evocative evening it has been, hearing those sounds of two great nations and a past that will carry us to the future. I'd like to now invite the AIIBS NSW President, Mr. Irfan Malik, to come up on stage, who's been spearheading this and championing this cause of bringing the two nations together by changing exchange of cultural ideas and also of business exchanges and a lot more. I'd like to invite Irfan Malik onto stage now. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Irfan.
Warami, greetings, namaskar, sat sri akal, salams, shalom. What a wonderful evening we have here. What a great audience. A round of applause to all of you. Thank you for making the time and taking the effort to be part of this historic milestone occasion where we all have a role to play as we shape the future of Australia-India relationship. We are here celebrating 75th year of India's independence, but it's more looking ahead of working together as a partnering nation towards India at 100. Before I begin my welcome note, I want to also acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we are gathered here. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. We've had a wonderful 2 days already of the Australia-India International Business Summit 2022, which is the inaugural summit that we have sparked off here today. As we started the inaugural session today, we had some amazing speakers really talking about what this new India opportunity is. And I really been bowered by the intense amount of interaction, the buzz that we've had over yesterday and today. Yesterday, we started off with some young leaders in the Australia-India space, the diaspora space as well. So really pleased that what we took on board as a dream, a vision, but with passion, we are executing it now. So thank you again for being part of this history-making event. I want to, especially on behalf of Australia-India Business Council, which is the leading trade and investment industry body, member-based industry body bilaterally, which has been spearheading these bilateral trade investment opportunities over the last 36 years plus and going strong, and fostering stronger relationship between both the nations and working hand in hand with the government and various other industry bodies as well. I want to especially welcome and recognize that I'm one of the real highlight of our summit is to have with us Honorable Senator, Honorable Penny Wong, the Honorable Foreign Minister of Australia. Thank you, and thank you for being part of this history making. You're very special to all of us in Australia, India, and really pleased to have you on board. Thank you. I also want to welcome Senator Tim Ayres, who's been here really being part of this whole energy that we've created here. He was here with us last evening, flew in from Melbourne, was here, attending our sessions as well and being part. Thank you again, Mr. Ayres. I also want to welcome our Honorable His Excellency Manpreet Bora Ji, our High Commissioner of India from Canberra. Thank you for taking time. I really appreciate you flew in just a short while back as well to be part of this occasion. Thank you again. I want to also recognize Honorable Scott Farlow, MLC, representing the New South Wales government, the Premier, and the New South Wales government as well. Thank you for taking time and representing us. I want to recognize Honorable Julian Leeser, MP, also representing the Liberal Party as well. Thank you. And he's also part of my local council as well and local electorate as well. Thank you for taking time. I want to again welcome especially someone who's flown in all the way from India to really re-energize this whole summit. In fact, his speech this morning was really, really remarkable. In fact, something which moved all of us and energized all of us. Deepak Baglaji, the CEO of Invest India, and also all the other supporters from Invest India as well, who continue to be a major government agency to really support trade and investment and really transforming the new India and part of this new India transformation as well. I also want to recognize and welcome Honorable Manish Gupta Ji, Consul General of India, Sydney as well, and Nish Gupta Ji as well. Thank you for being part of us and also all your support right through. I especially want to thank Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, who've been backing us and led by Francis Lusson, the chief negotiator of ECTA and the CICA agreement, which is underway, Rebecca Grinley, Nick McCaffrey, all of them who've been really supporting us to put this together. Susan Moore, Vicky, all the team as well, phenomenal work that they've been backing us as well. So I welcome all of you. We've got amongst us some amazing dignitaries. I'm not going to be able to name all of them, but I'd really, from the heart, welcome all of you, all our industry partners, all our sponsors, all our corporate partners, all businesses, startups, founders, indigenous businesses. I really want to especially welcome and recognize we have amongst us indigenous business, First Nation business leaders as well. And this summit is a lot about them as well. When I was in certain business forum about 8 months back, I felt that we didn't have enough representation, but I can from heart say at this summit, we made history. And as we progress through this 3 days, or the rest of this evening as well, you'll feel that the First Nation, indigenous people and business are welcome. And they are part of our story of Australia, India that we are curating as well. Now, just a bit of a reflection. When I took over and took on board the Australia-India Business Council leadership, I mean, it's about a passion that I had and a sense of gratitude. We all come. Coming from India, I come from a beautiful state of Kerala, India. Oh, no, I know there are some of the Malayalis around here, so. And grew up in Delhi, and always when I've gone to different countries, the US and Australia, which I call my home now, but we have a sense of gratitude to our motherland. So that's something which drives our passion. And being in the business and holding and running business, both in India and Australia, knowing the nuances and me personally living and breathing in the startup and innovation ecosystem, I can feel the new India, that every day that I interact with. And that's going to really drive this Australia-India partnership as well. The new India, which is going to be driven by all this phenomenal opportunities that's presented by youth as well. So I'm really pleased that we had a young business leaders session yesterday and amazing, exhilarating conversations that we had as well. So over the course of today, we had some phenomenal exchanges, business connects, a lot of agreements. Several companies were launched at the summit as well. And this dinner is to again celebrate these successes, celebrate India at 75, but looking ahead at India at 100, how this collaboration with all of us, each and individual, all of you here, and also your network, all your businesses that you are engaged with, all of you have a role to play to really drive this new India narrative. And I'm sure during the course of this evening, you will have that experience. And also, I want to recognize our leadership at AIIBS, led by Jim Verghese, our national chair, my co-chair of this summit, Shiva Nankyoliar, all the other leadership state presidents, industry chapter chairs, all my AIIBS New South Wales leadership team, all of whom, and all the organizing team who put in a lot of effort as well. I really want to thank them as well. And I really wish you a great evening. And we are going to showcase something which you wouldn't have seen before, the showcasing of New India. We're going to have some amazing panel discussion, but most importantly, we want to hear Honorable Foreign Minister Wong to really spark off this conversation of Australia-India relationship that we are fostering as well. So on that note, again, I wish you all a great evening. Enjoy your evening. And I'm always there to reach out as well during the course of the evening or later after this evening as well. Thank you again and have a lovely evening. Thank you.
And that was just a glimpse of things to come, ladies and gentlemen. Please continue to enjoy the entrees out here. I hope it titillates your palate and also satisfies your stomach. They say it takes about 20 minutes for the signal from your stomach to reach your brain, where it tells you how good the food was and how full you are. We hope to take the time out to make sure that you enjoy every last bit of it. But in order to smoothen that process, I'd like to invite someone who has been believing in the AIBC for so long and has been championing its cause and its place out here in the business world and forging new business ties between the two nations. We heard the AIBC NSW President, Mr. Irfan Malik, and now it gives me great pleasure to announce and to welcome on stage someone we all have interacted with, someone we all have heard. But every time we do hear him again, he has something more interesting and new to say, and some insights that always is key to be able to understand how to forge a deeper relationship, business, cultural, and otherwise between the two countries. No, he's not a marriage maker. He's not a matchmaker. He is the president, the national president of AIBC, and the chairman. I'd like to call upon Mr. Jim Verghese on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Jim.
Namaste, namaskaram, and can I thank that introduction from our New South Wales President Irfan Malik, a fellow Malayali. You've got to watch those people from Kerala, they're really moving through. Can I start by acknowledging the Gadigal country, the traditional custodians of this land, and pay my respects to the elders both past and present. It is with immense pleasure that I welcome all of you here today on behalf of the Australia-India Business Council to this Australia-India International Business Summit. This is a significant event, as it is the first time in the history of the AIBC that a business summit on such a scale has been organized in Australia. It is also significant as the Australian Indian diaspora is celebrating the 75th anniversary of India's independence. With their no boundaries to the Australia-India relationship, AIBC applauds the Australian Indian diaspora celebrating the 75th Independence Day for India. This year is also especially significant considering the recently signed bilateral Economic Cooperation Trade Agreement, ECTA, and leading to a SECA, CCA, the Free Trade Agreement, by the end of this year. Emphasizing the special significances of the trade relationship and celebrating the 75th Indian Independence Day, the Australia-India Business Council has organized this very enticing 3-day AIBC Australia International Business Summit here in the Four Seasons Hotel, which is a great venue. And we plan to have a business summit as an annual event. I welcome the large contingent of business leaders here from both Australia and India and dignitaries, members of parliament across the political spectrum, high-ranking Government of India officials are attending and participating in this important Australia-India International Business Summit. Many government and partner organizations, including the Department of Foreign Affairs, affectionately known as DFAT, the High Commission of India, Canberra, the Consulate General of India, Sydney, Investment New South Wales, Invest India, Austrade, Kerala Startup Mission, Confederation of Indian Industry, the Business Council of Australia, Business New South Wales, the Export Council of Australia, the New South Wales Indigenous Chamber of Commerce, the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, the Indo-Australian Chamber of Commerce, the Trade Promotion Council of India, Australia-India Travel and Tourism Council are participating in the summit deliberations, business showcases, and business-to-business sessions. It's also great to have here as a major sponsor, Samir Vora from the Adani Group. Samir himself is a leader in renewable energy. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to specifically acknowledge all the dignitaries present this evening, done by my colleague Irfan Malik. I'd also like to acknowledge Tony Abbott, present here today, who has been leading the trade negotiations. And I'd like to welcome also our High Commissioner India, the Honorable Manpreet Bora. It's great to have you here. And I think when you first started, we were out there in Canberra enjoying a very good dialogue and embracing the diversity of the Indian community. I would like to specially welcome, and it's a privilege to do so, to welcome Senator the Honorary Penny Wong, the Senator for South Australia, Leader of the government in the Senate, and the Minister for Foreign Affairs, as our keynote speaker to deliver the Australia-India Annual Address at this especially important Australia-India Business Summit. And can I say this with some sincerity? We're very fortunate to have one of Australia's most experienced and skilled foreign minister with a profound understanding of India. Ladies and gentlemen, I do wear a number of different hats. In my hat as the Chancellor of Torrens University and the Think Group, I'd also like to acknowledge Jeremy here from the Torrens Group, who is the Chief Commercial Officer for the Torrens University and Think Group. See some good ties with India there. So, colleagues, as we celebrate the 75th India Independence Day, the fastest growing Indian diaspora in Australia, estimated over 730,000, is contributing significantly to entrepreneurship in a number of sectors identified in the India Economic Strategy by Peter Verghese and Australian Economic Strategy by Ambassador Anil Wadhwa. India is already an important economic and security partner in the India-Pacific. At the time of the comprehensive strategic partnership between Australia and India in 2020, India was Australia's 7th largest trading partner, with two-way trade valued at $20.3 billion and the 6th largest goods and services export market valued at $16.9 billion. In 2020, India was Australia's 3rd largest market for service exports. As per the India Economic Strategy targets, Australian exports to India are estimated at, and wait for this, $45 billion by 2035. And Australian investment in India is estimated at $100 billion by 2035. The India Economic Strategy prioritized 10 economic structures, including education, tourism, agribusiness, resources, health, financial services, energy, infrastructure, science, innovation, and sport. It also determined that the economic relationships is significantly determined, and this is important here today, by people-to-people relationships. It is encouraging that increasingly many Australian businesses have developed a superior understanding of the business operating environment in India, using it to drive more opportunities and better relationships. Also, the economic recovery is rapidly taking place post-COVID-19. Both the federal and state governments are revamping their respective strategies to achieve near pre-COVID economic targets and boosting the support to the various industries, especially the small and medium-sized companies who are impacted badly. The AIIBS, just to bring this in perspective, and one of my first degrees is in history. The Australian India Business Council was established in 1986 by the Prime Ministers of the day, Bob Hawke of Australia and Rajiv Gandhi of India, in recognition of the enormous trade potential between the countries. Now that is an amazing historical fact. AIBC is the only national body representing bilateral trade and investment relations between Australia and India. The AIBC is a national membership organization with active chapters across Australia. Our vision is to be an active voice involved in policy and advocacy roles to promote and enhance the bilateral Australia, India, and business trade relationship, as well as provide education and information about the Australia-India trade-related opportunities. During the last 35 years, AIBC is involved in many bilateral trade initiatives, programs, partnerships. We've led many delegations over the decades, including Vibrant Gujarat, and more recently, the sugar industry delegation and food processing delegation from India. Enjoy the dinner, but listen. AIBC has in-depth partnerships with many organizations. I'm pleased to see them here today. And it's through such a powerful cooperation that we're able to work together in the bilateral place. So to effectively support this trade momentum, we have established the Australia-India Business Enterprises. This is a subsidiary company to facilitate end-to-end business-to-business commercial transactions, together with our industry chairs and state and territory presidents. AIBC will be formally launched in India and here in Australia during the first week of September, coinciding with Australia's India Dialogue in New Delhi. Agriculture, especially the wine industry, fisheries, and advanced manufacturing, offer immediate and promising potential for partnering collaboration, and most importantly, commercial success in the non-traditional sector, critical minerals offering a huge opportunity. The Australian government announced it would spend $200 billion over the next decade to invest in enhanced defense capability. India's spending in defense procurement is estimated at $250 billion during the next 15 years. This huge spending in defense will result in significant collaboration and partnerships in defense. And we have an industry chair in this area to help with Joe Williams in the immediate future. So we have a strong base across New South Wales, Victoria, ACT, Queensland, South Australia, West Australia, and very shortly the Northern Territory. Our website and social media have gone digital through a digital transformation gearing up for enabled digital commercial transactions for the Australia-India business enterprise. I thank my colleague Irfan Malik, Ravneet, the Victorian President Ashok, who heads up the ICT, and Satyat Mishra for their great work in putting this new digital platform. India is the right partner for Australia and Australian business, and we must look to India as a market to supply rather than a market for consumption. The partnership between Australia and India will generate trade in many sectors. And to facilitate this, we have established 17 industry chapters, including agribusiness, ICT, digital education and skills, healthcare, Make with India, infrastructure, energy, sports chapter, and women in business. With the major changes in Indian defense procurement, there is a great opportunity, particularly with the Quad, for Australia and India to get together. So let's do that. And AIBC and its commercial arm, AIBE, will continue to support Australian businesses with India by identifying opportunities for trade and driving us forward to achieve the economic strategy from Peter Verghese and Ambassador Anil Wadhwa. So it has been a challenging year from 2020 to 22 with COVID. International education was one of our sectors badly affected, and many students from India and other countries were affected due to the COVID-19. However, thanks to digitalization and virtual technology, AIBC was able to organize over 60 events catering to many industries, such as education, smart manufacturing, agriculture, information and communication technology, and sports. Another big challenge is the skill shortages faced by the Australian industry, and considering the large population of skilled younger generation in India, perhaps by adapting smart strategies, there can be a win-win situation for Australia in managing this huge skill shortage. AIBC hopes the federal government will align its immigration policy to the economic strategy to achieve this. The event scheduled in these 3 days starting today has been very encouraging with the participation. It's great to see the participation right across from leaders in Australian and Indian governments, corporate leaders, AIIBC members, the India Indigenous Business Connect. I give very special recognition to the Indigenous Business Connect, AIIBC business partners, cultural extravaganza, and apart from education and the future of learning, several other sectors such as defense, aerospace, cybersecurity, financial services, fintech, and tourism. We're all into this. This is the program that's really going to focus on advanced manufacturing, smart, sustainable infrastructure, sustainable renewable energy, circular economy, and waste to energy solutions. So I would like to congratulate our AIIBC team, our very energetic New South Wales President Irfan Malik and our AIIBC past chair Shiba Nandikiola for the excellent organization of the summit, our partners, supporting industries, and a number of volunteers. Now, under the AIIBC constitution, my term is up. I cannot run again. That's a good thing. That's 6 years in there. So I have been into succession planning. And I'm very delighted to say the elections are now open for our AIIBC. And we are certainly approaching prominent non-Indian diaspora men and women of profile to run for the position of national chair. And it is my hope that it will be a prominent female that does that. So watch this space. The second one is the position of national vice chair. And I'm very pleased that Ravneet Pawar, who is the president of Victoria, will be running for that position. And we'll be right behind her. And to support succession planning, we have established 2 board positions that will support the elected national chair and the elected national vice chair. The first is the position of national associate chair, non-elected. They report to the elected chair. And the person of that is none other than Ashok Mysore, who is the digital chair, and I think will fill that role really well. And the second one, of course, is none other than Irfan Malik, who will be the associate national vice chair. So we have a great team in place. We've got a lot of energy in place. And on behalf of the AIIBC, I wish you a very enjoyable evening and the Business Summit a great success. And I'll leave you with this very simple word. We're going to move from Australian leadership dialogue to Australian leadership action. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a national chair for the AIIBC. And of course, those of you who missed out what he said because of some of the commotion that was taking place in the corners, they might have missed that there is $5,000, $3,000, and $1,000 up for grabs. There was a question that Jim presented. What are the 5 key sectors that India and Australia are going to be focusing on? So for those of us who didn't pay attention, well, I guess we are the losers. Having said that, we've got some very special speakers up next. But before we go, there's a very special technology we'll introduce you to called Vipassana that emphasizes silence so that we can not only hear ourselves, but also hear the people around us and also hear not the things that they just say, but the things that are left in between what they didn't say. So ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who want to get those prizes, well, and whose ears were pricked up, we'll get those questions to you later. But it's my great honor and privilege now to hear from 2 great representatives of our 2 great democracies. And for that, I'd like to first invite His Excellency, the Honorable Ambassador for India here in Australia, Mr. Manpreet Vohra.
Your Excellency, Minister for Foreign Affairs, Senator the Honorable Penny Wong, Your Excellency, Assistant Minister for Trade and Manufacturing, the Honorable Tim Ayers, former Prime Minister, the Honorable Tony Abbott, Honorable Parliamentary Secretary, Honorable Members of Parliament, National Chair of the Australia-India Business Council, Mr. Jim Varghese, President of the AIIBS's New South Wales chapter, Mr. Irfan Malik, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Invest India, Mr. Deepak Bagla, dignitaries, chamber members, business leaders, colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen. Namaste and good day. I'm delighted to be with you this evening at the inaugural Australia-India International Business Summit. It is a particular privilege for me to welcome Her Excellency Minister Wong. Thank you, ma'am, for honoring us with your kind presence. And thank you, AIIBS, for organizing this impressive and, may I say, most timely and useful summit. 2022 is a historic year in several ways. In case you missed the absolutely stunning illumination last week of the Sydney Opera House in the colors of the Indian flag, or of iconic buildings and monuments from Adelaide to Darwin and from Brisbane to Perth, India was celebrating its 75th birthday. That is quite a joyous milestone for independent India. But 2022 is also a year for double celebrations, as India and Australia have marked 75 years of the establishment of our diplomatic relations. India at 75 has been an exciting journey in our nation building. Proving many doomsayers wrong, India remains united, strong, and principled, and is respected by everyone as the world's largest democracy, with an uninterrupted record of civilian rule and free and fair elections. From a desperately poor and underdeveloped nation on 15th August 1947, we now have the 5th largest GDP, 3rd largest in terms of purchasing power parity, and are today the fastest growing large economy in the world. Thank you. We have industrialized and we have modernized. We have achieved commanding heights in sectors such as engineering, IT, space, and high tech. We have demonstrated that third world countries do not have to choose between democracy and development. And our foreign policy, based on principles of peaceful coexistence, non-aggression, and respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity, has stood the test of time, even as we bolster our defense capacities and battle the challenges posed by a tough neighborhood, be it state-sponsored terrorism or classic military aggression. India-Australia relations at 75 have strengthened tremendously over the last decade or so, and in 2020, we officially upgraded them to a comprehensive strategic partnership. This is an acknowledgement not just of our bilateral complementarities and synergies, but also of our growing convergence of views on geostrategic and geo-economic issues, particularly in our common Indo-Pacific region. We are determined to work together, both to confront our shared challenges and to seize new opportunities as natural partners, strong democracies, and dynamic economies. 2022 and the coming into office of the Labour government has also demonstrated firmly that India-Australia relations and their future trajectory enjoys strong bipartisan support. Our leaders met in Tokyo within 48 hours of Prime Minister Albanese assuming office. Minister Wong has met Minister Jaishankar twice already. 4 Indian ministers have visited Australia in the last 7 weeks. Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles was in India in June, and the Premier of New South Wales and the Deputy Premier of Western Australia in July, both leading large business delegations. Assistant Foreign Minister Tim Watts will be there early next month, and Trade Minister Senator Don Farrell later in September. The mutual trust and comfort level is palpable. The conversations are easy and ambitions are high. Perhaps nothing is more emblematic of this than the negotiation and signing in record time of a very substantial economic cooperation and trade agreement, or ECTA, between us in April this year. Over my 34 years in the diplomatic service, I cannot cite a single other instance when an FTA has been concluded so easily and so quickly. I seriously doubt if anyone else can. ECTA is nothing short of a watershed moment for India-Australia economic relations. It covers the entire gamut of our commercial relations, removing tariffs and barriers and opening a plethora of opportunities in both goods and services. ECTA will also make it easier for us to exchange students, professionals, and tourists, further strengthening our people-to-people ties. We do look forward to its early ratification and entry into force. Some of you in the room have heard me say or complain before that while India-Australia political, defense, strategic, and government-to-government relations have progressed rapidly, our economic links remain an underperformer. This is quite contrary to the usual direction in which bilateral relations normally evolve and mature, which is that trade and business links develop first, creating interdependencies that then drive other parts of a relationship. It is important, in my view, to examine this conundrum. In my humble opinion, I believe that a major reason is the inadequate appreciation by Australian businesses of the new India, today's India, 21st century India. There are certain old but persisting beliefs and biases in corporate boardrooms on account of either anecdotal or actual experiences decades ago that India is a difficult place to do business in. That is no longer true, but coupled with the almost singular focus on a particular geography for at least the last 3 decades, the misperceptions led to a fairly lengthy lack of interest and inertia towards India. But the new India is quite different from that of yore. It is today a liberalized and globalized economy that has unleashed the spirit of innovation and entrepreneurship. Transformational economic reforms in recent years have leapfrogged India up the ranks in the ease of doing business index. Red tape and arduous procedures are a thing of the past. Today, empowered organizations like Invest India will welcome and handhold Australian investors from start to finish. And we will even do it pro bono. Not good news for expensive consultants, I must admit. As I said earlier,
We are the fastest growing large economy in the world today. And according to the World Bank and the IMF, we will remain so for some time to come. We have shown remarkable resilience against successive storms engendered by the Asian financial crisis of 1997, the global financial crisis of 2008, the COVID-19 pandemic, and more recent conflicts. Our market size of close to 1.4 billion, with a large and rapidly expanding middle class, holds great value and has made India one of the most attractive destinations for foreign direct investment, even during the pandemic years of 2020 and 2021. Our stock market remains robust and is offering stable, attractive returns. We have developed one of the finest tech startup ecosystems that is witnessing an unprecedented surge in venture capital investments. There are now 108 unicorns, third highest in the world, 42 of them created in 2021 alone, and 19 already in the first 6.5 months of 2022. The number of Indian billionaires, dollar billionaires, has risen in the last decade from 55 to 166, fifth highest in worldwide numbers and third highest in their total wealth. Our physical and digital infrastructure stands vastly improved, and supply logistics and transportation speeds are the best in the world. Effective tax rates are low. Make in India policies and attractive new production-linked incentive schemes are rapidly turning India into a manufacturing powerhouse as well. Both merchandise and service exports are booming and were the highest ever in financial year 2021-22. Our foreign direct investment inflows of $83 billion in the same year, 2021-2022, was also the highest ever. The FDI is flowing from USA, Canada, Europe, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, the Gulf countries, Southeast Asia, and so many more. This is proof of the world's vote of confidence in the resilience and attractiveness of the Indian economy. But I note with considerable regret that Australia does not so far figure high on the list. As another illustration, our stock market has generated 12% average annual returns in dollar terms since 1990, more than twice the global average. The huge superannuation funds of Canada have been heavily invested and profitably invested in India for a long time. But the similarly large Australian super funds have very low or no exposure at all in India. To me, these appear to be lost opportunities simply because insufficient attention has been paid to the Indian growth story, and there is a certain lack of India literacy. But I am confident that chambers such as AIIBS, events such as this and other business summits, more business-to-business networking, more corporate leaders traveling with ministers, more participation at trade fairs, a better analysis of data and real-life success stories of foreign investment in India would all help to educate and attract. The opportunities are immense and can be transformational in many ways, including by enabling value addition in sunrise sectors within Australia or by Australian companies in India. I suggest to you, ladies and gentlemen, that it is limiting to look at India just as an export market for ores and minerals or services such as education for Indian students in Australia. Far better is to adopt a market development, investment, and partnerships approach towards India. If we are adding scores of gigawatts of solar power every year, and when you in Australia have the highest grade silica and cutting edge photovoltaic technologies, why should India have to still import from another source much of the solar panels that we need? If both India and Australia, thank you. If both India and Australia have huge green hydrogen ambitions and the attributes to produce, use, and export it in massive quantities, should we not join hands to ensure that we together also manufacture the vast amounts of electrolyzers that we both will need, but neither makes much of at present? The same goes for your lithium and the amount of batteries India needs for its massive storage and electric vehicle programs. If Australian defense labs and startups regularly produce impressive technologies and innovative products, why do they not monetize that valuable IPR by commercializing and taking it to scale in a market like India? If Australian universities have attracted 100,000 students to their campuses, what about the 100 million that need similar good education and vocational training? But which level of demand Australian universities can only meet if they venture to set up centers and hybrid models overseas in India. Ladies and gentlemen, geopolitical challenges, the vulnerability of economic overdependence, starkly exposed by the COVID-19 pandemic, the need for other attractive markets, supply source diversification, and the necessity to build supply chains with alternate, more reliable partners are all realities that confront Australia today as they confront India as well. Our governments are close partners, our people are good friends, and our economies are strong. It is an imperative that we all act to ensure our future growth, prosperity, and security. I believe India and Australia can and must do this together by marrying your advantages with our. Such a closer economic integration, not merely trade, will be a win-win for both of us. The logic is clear and the enabling frameworks are in place, even more so now with the signing of AIIBS. It is time for actual business leaders and decision makers, such as many of you in this room tonight, to realize this potential. Thank you very much for your attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for His Excellency, High Commissioner from India, Mr. Manpreet Vora. And of course, as rightly put by His Excellency, we do stand at times when we look around us, we are teetering on a lot of issues, geopolitical in particular. But we also share some common values, such as freedom, democracy, and also liberty that we must cherish and hold close. A lot of us haven't really seen World War II or even World War I. We've only read about it. But if you draw parallels with the stock market bubbles, with the credit, with the not so democratic governments which are there, it becomes more important for us to actually hold on to those values and build upon them. India cannot have a better partner than Australia in order to forge a better future, a future in which the values that we believe in and one that is good for the next generations and for our kids to come. I'd like to now invite the Foreign Minister of Australia, the Honorable Penny Wong, to come and share her thoughts at a time when we need to forge a stronger relationship between the two countries.
I like the music. Look, thank you very much for that introduction, and thank you very much for having me here to speak with you this evening. I first acknowledge that the land we meet on tonight is the traditional land of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and articulate my respect for their spiritual relationship with country. There are so many distinguished guests here tonight. I was trying to do the list on the table. I might miss some, but I wanted to say first to all of you that the caliber and status of so many distinguished guests here tonight demonstrates the importance we place as a nation and this community places on the relationship that we're celebrating. So can I acknowledge the High Commissioner again? Thank you so much for your words. And you know, when you're in opposition and then you win government, you do remember who bothered to see you in opposition. He did all right. Can I would also acknowledge my parliamentary colleagues, and in particular Tim Ayres, who's been doing such a great job and who I keep sending around the world. Poor guy. I sat there in caucus. I said to him, what are you doing next week? He said, oh, you know, we've got Senate. I said, oh, no, I think you're going to New York. Sorry. He didn't seem to mind too much. Can I acknowledge Jim Varghese, Irfan Malik, to Deepak Bagla? Thank you so much for making the effort to come to Australia. Ashok Jacob, as I said, many parliamentary colleagues, but I want to particularly acknowledge former Prime Minister Tony Abbott and Mrs. Abbott. And also the former Federal Trade Minister, Andrew Robb. I first pay tribute to the work and history of the Australia-India Business Council. And I am actually very deeply honoured to be here to celebrate the 75th anniversary of India's independence, the world's largest democracy. It's an extraordinary thing, isn't it? It really is. And also to celebrate, as His Excellency reminded us, the 75th anniversary of our diplomatic relations, which says something about the longevity and the depth of our partnership. So all those decades ago, in August 1947, newspapers carried word of the momentous event from a newly independent India all over the world, but to the people of Australia, 8,000 odd kilometres away. So in my home state, the front page of the Adelaide Advertiser, most of you don't know that paper, you do now, described the stirring scenes in New Delhi and in the cities and villages alive with celebration. There were only a few thousand Australians of Indian heritage when that tricolour first flew. What a difference now today. More Australians born in India than in any other foreign country aside from the United Kingdom. This growing diaspora, a part of the modern Australian story. And finally, our Parliament is beginning to reflect this truth. And the 47th Parliament, as you know, is our most diverse ever. Last month, my colleague Anita Mascarenhas, the new member for the seat of Swan in Western Australia, delivered her first speech in Parliament dressed in a vibrant red sari. And her family's journey from Goa to Kenya to Kalgoorlie There you go. To Canberra is one of the millions of stories that make up modern multicultural Australia. Another parliamentary newcomer, Andrew Charlton, the member for Parramatta, is here tonight. Parramatta has over 30,000 people of either Indian ancestry or birth living in the electorate. And I know that Andrew is such a great advocate for the diaspora and speaks with such pride about the community he represents. You see, we are a nation of these diverse heritages. We are home to the oldest continuing civilization on earth. We have more than 300 ancestries represented in this country. Half our population was born overseas or has a parent who was. So when I have gone out into the world as quickly as I could after we were elected, part of what I was wanting to express was that our foreign policy projects who we are. It projects that diversity. It projects this diaspora, our First Nations communities, and all of that multicultural diverse heritage that represents modern Australia. I want us to reach into every corner of the world and say we share common ground, because we do. All of you in this room understand the economic interests that Australia and India share. As of 2020, India was our 7th largest trading partner, our 6th largest export market. And those who have spoken already tonight have spoken in greater detail about the nature and opportunity of our economic relationship. And I really do wish you well in your discussions over these days, in working out how we can make them stronger and deeper and more enduring. What I would say to you is the Albanese government is committed to enhancing our economic cooperation with India. We are committed to expanding and deepening our trade and investment ties and reducing the barriers for business and investors. The government has a commitment to boosting Australian industry and manufacturing, to making Australia a renewable energy superpower, to diversifying our economy and securing our global supply chains. And there are so many opportunities in that agenda. His Excellency, the High Commissioner, spoke about the opportunities we have in working together to develop more diversified supply chains. Not only is that good for our economic prosperity, what I would say to you is that is central to our economic and strategic resilience in a time of change. I think it is central to our shared resilience. So last week I had the pleasure of announcing the recipients of this year's Australia-India Council grants, and they included a space startup exchange, drought-resilient chickpea research, and disability-inclusive virtual healthcare pilot, demonstration of the sort of gamut, the breadth of our relationship. And next month, as others have mentioned, we have the Australia-India Leadership Dialogue, which will bring together business leaders, political leaders, and thought leaders to address shared challenges and to explore new areas of cooperation. Just this week, my colleague, the Education Minister, Jason Clare, and his counterpart have discussed how Australian universities can help India deliver its plan to see 50%. So extraordinary objective, 50% of young Indians enrolled in higher education by 2035. It's an extraordinary achievement if we can work together to do so. The ministers also agreed to work closely on recognition of qualifications and research. And for those of you who are concerned about that, you'll be pleased to know the High Commissioner has spoken to me a lot about that whilst I've been sitting there. But I would say this. As you know, I was born in Malaysia and my father was a Colombo Plan scholar, and he grew up in very, very poor, disadvantaged circumstances, but he made an extraordinary life for himself and for his family. One thing he always said to me was, they can take everything away from you, but they can never take your education. Education is central to how we build a shared future. It is central. There are just under 60,000, 59,000 Indian students in Australia. We benefit immensely from this exchange. Our classrooms, our lecture theatres, our communities, our economy benefit significantly from this exchange. And in return, I hope what these students take home are new skills and knowledge to drive new businesses, to drive the research and innovation and the creativity we see in the modern India, to continue to grow India's economy and to contribute to Indian society. But I would say this too, and I think all of us know this, our partnership extends well beyond the bilateral because we share a region. And we share a region that is being reshaped. So our relationship is profoundly important. It is profoundly important that countries with shared interests work together. And we share an interest in a region which is stable, peaceful, prosperous, a region in which sovereignty is respected, and where disputes are guided by international law and norms, not by power and size. And it is this insight that underpins this government's support for the Quad and Australia's support for the Quad. And it is why the Prime Minister and I were on the plane to Tokyo for this year's meeting within hours of being sworn in. And it's at which we had the great honour of meeting Prime Minister Modi and Foreign Minister Jaishankar. And it is a reminder that our relationship is built on many things, but fundamentally it is built on shared interests. And it is why we think of our relationship as one of dosti, of friendship. So together, there is just so much that our two nations can achieve, and your work is central to that. So in closing, I say this: tonight we celebrate an extraordinary nation's past and present, but we look forward to an even brighter future. Jai Hind, happy Independence Day.
Ladies and gentlemen, insightful words from the Honorable Foreign Affairs Minister. I hope all of us heard some of the things that she said. I also hope that we heard some of the things she didn't say. And I think that's what makes much more sense. Times are changing, and with that change comes a need to come together. I'd like to invite the Honorable Minister once again on stage as AIIBC and the NSW President gives a mark of appreciation by offering the best thing in the world, flowers. And the reason why flowers are so important is because they smell great, they look good, but like any relationship, they need to be nurtured, otherwise they wither away. So, ladies and gentlemen, dinner is going to be served very soon. But having said that, the minister did mention that the key to our relationship has to be the future. And in order to build on that future, it's the generations to come that hold the key. But before we do that, I'm going to have dinner service, which is going to begin very soon. And I'm also going to invite the chair of AIIBC, Jim Verghese, to come on stage and introduce the youngsters of AIIBC who are going to champion the relationship in the years and decades to come. As most of us know, the relationships that we see that make a difference are not the ones that you see buzzing around like bees, but they're tectonic. They're plates that do move, and we know that they do, but we often don't see or feel them till they actually erupt. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite Jim on stage and give a small introduction quickly to the next generation of AIBC, to youngsters who have contributed a lot and will be contributing a lot in the future to come.
What a great moment here. This is where we bring the younger element of our diaspora together. Come up as you come up. I'm going to do a slight change to the normal script. Tell us about yourself.
Hello, everybody. Lovely to meet you all. Thank you all for coming tonight. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. I am Malika Raj, and I'm so excited to be joining you all for the Australia-India International Business Summit, the AIIBC annual gala dinner, and of course, to celebrate India's 75th year of independence. Before I begin, I do wish to acknowledge that we are meeting on the land of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, so I do pay my respect to the elders past, present, and emerging. I would also like to acknowledge any Aboriginals or Torres Strait Islanders who are present here tonight with us. Honourable Foreign Affairs Minister, Senator Penny Wong, Honourable Assistant Minister for Trade, Senator Tim Ayres, former Opposition Leader of New South Wales, Jodie McKay, His Excellency of India to Australia, High Commissioner Mr. Manpreet Vora, National Chair of AIBC, Jim Varghese, New South Wales President for AIBC, Irfan Malik, former National Chair of AIBC, Shiba Nandkoyar, former Governor General of Australia, Sir Peter Cosgrove, members of State and Parliament, lifelong members of AIBC, distinguished guests, ladies, gentlemen, and friends. That was half my speech. I am so honored to be appointed the newly National Chair, the Young Business Leaders Chapter, alongside Kushal. For AIBC. And AIBC, which was founded 36 years ago by two of the nation's great former prime ministers, late Australian Prime Minister Bob Hawke and late Indian Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, who were determined to foster the bilateral relations between the two nations. And even today, India remains Australia's most significant trade partner, and we are only seeing a blossoming trajectory. AIBC branches out into many chapters, from state and territories, women in business, startup and innovation, and now the Young Business Leaders Chapter, which is established to support and foster the growth of young entrepreneurship and groom seasoned young professionals who will then go on to lead the nation. And now is the right time to do so. As our political and business landscape evolves, it is imperative that we recognize the need for young and vibrant leadership and inclusion. Yesterday, Kushal and myself had the pleasure to meet and engage with young entrepreneurs. And believe me, the vision, the passion, and the talent that they had was so refreshing to see. And it only reminds us of how important it is that we give our generation a platform. There is so much talent in our communities, and we must acknowledge this and give them a seat at the table. Our youth will be the ones who build a more better and sustainable tomorrow. But we need the access to the tools, the education, and the opportunity to make this change. And this skills gap is a global challenge. In fact, even before the pandemic, education and labor systems were struggling in their ability to prepare young people with future job skills. And approximately 267 million young people were left with no employment, education, and training. I would like to commend the AIBC for understanding this need and translating will into action. I have seen AIBC flourish from its humble beginnings. In fact, my journey with AIBC started at the registration desk, giving you all of your name tags. And from there, I began to MC, and from there, the national co-chair for the Young Business Leaders chapter. I will forever, thank you. I will forever be grateful to our leadership of AIBC, who recognize the importance of giving our members, no matter what age, what background, what gender, a platform and joining hands with them. Because our organizations, our governments, and our businesses should reflect our diverse community. And we all know that the only constant is change. So we must embrace, not resist diversity in order to progress. And how else do we progress if not by uplifting one another? I would like you all to leave tonight and reflect on the young talents, the young leaders, and the young visionaries in your communities and encourage them to step up. Because the key to successful leadership today is through influence and not authority. And through the right influence and recognition, we can prosper our future leaders who will then go on to lead this nation. I hope you all have a lovely rest of the evening, and I look forward to getting to know all of you and collaborating as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Malika, and thank you everyone for your attention thus far. I promise I will keep this short and sweet, a lot like the height of your co-chairs of the youth chapter. There was no height requirement, but that was very fortunate for both of us. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and especially to the Foreign Minister, Senator Penny Wong. There are two people in this world that I consider myself starstruck by. The first is SRK. The second is the Foreign Minister for us. So thank you so much for being here today. I also like to give a brief mention, a shout out. I did see Dr. Andrew Charlton come along, and I did want to give a shout out to him because I saw a video of you dancing to Akmare not too long ago. So a massive round of applause to you as well. But keeping it short, ladies and gentlemen, it has been an incredible couple of days here at the summit, and especially so because we are finally able to be here in person, celebrating together what is a really, really important occasion, especially after the bizarre few years that we've had. It's been full of bizarre media headlines. I mean, my favorite was during COVID, Parkley Prison is going into lockdown. And I thought, yeah, that would make sense. In all seriousness, though, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. And Malik and I are so excited with the support of Irfan Malik, Sheba Nankewalar, to launch AIBC's new national youth chapter. Lamenting that I'll be turning 27 next month, I am excited that I still count as youth, but I do have the acne spots to prove it. We have had over the last couple of days, though, ladies and gentlemen, some of the country's best young business talent join us for this roundtable to figure out how we capitalize on this relationship that we have between Australia and India. And in unpacking that vision and hearing our young leaders, Malik and I have come up with a vision to take us forward. Unpacking that vision means developing young business networks to learn from the leaders in this room today, to help with their professional development, to create an environment where young people can be supported by their fellow peers on what are exciting ventures, but sometimes daunting as well. But there is one last thing that I want to leave people in this room with what the vision is for this youth chapter going forward, and some important things that people in this room today have actually contributed to that vision. And that is every single person in this room is ultimately a convert. We all know what the Australia-India relationship brings. We know what those opportunities are. We're all in that together. The next responsibility for all of us, and particularly the young generation, is to bring that step forward, Indians and non-Indians alike, to make this what is the Australia-India Business Council. Thank you so much. Because we do hope that this youth chapter can spark a new wave of engagement in Australia from Indians and non-Indians alike through both events, but delegations to India itself. Indeed, part of understanding India comes from all of us, Indians and non-Indians alike, being there at the coalface. Ladies and gentlemen, Malika and I have a huge year coming up and so many plans, but we are so overwhelmed with the support that you have all given us here today and the encouragement we've received. We're really looking forward to channel that energy because there genuinely has never been a more exciting time in this space. And I'm excited to be writing that next chapter of this story together. Because ladies and gentlemen, picture abhi baki hai mere dost.
Please give them a big round of applause. Isn't it wonderful to have this young energy, the next generation moving on? That's what we're on about. I can see the 60th celebration coming up. Thanks very much, everyone. Give them a round of applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you heard from the upcoming generation, I hope you're enjoying your dinner. And for those of you who are enjoying the dinner, we have a small video presentation for you about the relationship and looking ahead at what India-Australia relationships would look like in the future. Let your flight take place where imagination is the only thing that rules without limitations. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy your dinner, and we have this small presentation for you. Thank you. Dosto, Hamdardo, Namaskar. Those of you who are enjoying the discussion and the food, continue to do so. This is just a casual announcement for a little bit of entertainment. So, no matter if you're standing, sitting, talking, or hustling, we have some great entertainment for you because this is a class apart and something very special. As you continue to network, as you continue to eat, enjoy a fabulous dance piece that we're going to present on stage. This is, of course, the indigenous Janavi dancers with Indian fusion with Hamza Venkat. I hope you all enjoy this. Do click some photographs and also some selfies with the dancers in the background. And I hope you remember this as you drive back home. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, as you keep talking, please a round of applause for the indigenous dancers and, of course, Hamza Venkat, the fusion dance.
सखी पलो जमुना तट पर नट बर नाचे श्याम रे जोने सखी पलो जमुना तट पर नट बर नाचे जोने सखी पलो जमुना तट पर नट बर नाचे श्याम रे जोने सखी पलो जमुना तट पर नट बर नाचे श्याम रे जोने सखी पलो जमुना तट पर नट बर नाचे श्याम रे जोने सखी पलो जमुना तट पर नट बर नाचे जोने सखी पलो जमुना तट पर नट बर नाचे श्याम रे जोने सखी पलो जमुना तट पर नट बर नाचे श्याम रे जोने सखी पलो जमुना तट पर नट बर नाचे पगले गोकुल नाचे पगले गोकुल नाचे गोकुलनी गोबाळन नाचे ने पगले गोकुल नाचे गोकुलनी गोबाळन नाचे नाचे त्रिभुवन धाम रे नाचे त्रिभुवन धाम रे जोने सखी पलो जमुना तट पर नट बर नाचे जमुनानी जल लहरी नाचे जमुनानी जल लहरी नाचे वन मधुवननी कुंजन नाचे जमुनानी जल लहरी नाचे वन मधुवननी कुंजन नाचे घुंगरिये घन श्याम रे घुंगरिये घन श्याम रे जोने सखी पलो जमुना तट पर नट बर नाचे सुरम्य सुंदर वेणुनादे सुरम्य सुंदर वेणुनादे अवनी आंदोलन मानाचे सुरम्य सुंदर वेणुनादे अवनी आंदोलन मानाचे नंद किशोरन नाम रे नंद किशोरन नाम रे जोने सखी पलो जमुना तट पर नट बर नाचे श्याम रे जोने सखी पलो जमुना तट पर नट बर नाचे श्याम रे जोने सखी पलो जमुना तट पर नट बर नाचे
Ladies and gentlemen, give a big round of applause for our dancers. What a great fusion of two cultures. I, for one, have two left feet, so I definitely can't do half of the things that they did on stage out here. But having said that, there is nothing that emphasizes movement and change in life as much as dance and rhythm. But of course, after having seen that beautiful fusion between Indian dancing, classical dancing, and those indigenous dancers, I'd like to invite Jim Verghese on stage to come and inaugurate the Indigenous chapter launch for the AIIBC. Jim is one of the most hardworking people at AIIBC who even skips a meal or a glass of wine to make sure that he does what duty calls for. And now we'd like him to come and launch a chapter that is so very special, one of the new ones for AIIBC. Ladies and gentlemen, just a little bit of silence for Jim as he launches the new chapter.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention for what is a unique development in the history of the AIIBC. And I'd like to invite Indu and Susan onto the stage as we are going to inaugurate the first Indigenous and First Nations chapter of the Australia-India Business Council. Give that a big round of applause. Now, one of the innovative initiatives that we've been doing is linking up with the Indigenous Chamber of Commerce, creating business-to-business relationships, and from that, create a very unique business-to-business relationship between Indigenous and First Nations peoples in the chapter. Already in the state of WA, we have our Indigenous person on our chapter in WA. Can I say, in recognition of this event, I'm wearing a special bow tie today, which is got the Indigenous colors. And on that note, I'm going to invite Indu and Susan to talk to us.
Warami, hello, how are you? So it's great to be here this evening, and it was such a pleasure to see the national anthem being sung in Darug language. It was wonderful to have Nadina Dixon to do the welcome to country, because this is her ancestral lands. So it was such a joy for me to see all of you stand up in honor of all of that. So thank you from my heart. It is a great pleasure to be a part of the AIIBC and this new chapter as we reset and move forward and work collaboratively together. Wow, you guys, come on. You're worse than our black fellas. You're a tough audience. And I've heard speaker after speaker having to deal with this audience. And we just had some really amazing dancers. And I hope you didn't miss it. But I would like to say that it is an honor to be an ambassador for the AIIBC in this summit. And I'd like to hand over to Indu to say a few words as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It is helpful to have someone clink and yell out and thank you. We won't take too much of your time because we know that people are hungering to talk to each other. I wanted to say, my name is Indu Balachandran and Susan Moylan-Coombs and I are really pleased to be the inaugural chairs of the AIIBC's First Nations and Indigenous chapter. As I said this afternoon, the Australian India Business Council has a very unique opportunity and a really special opportunity to lead the way in how business is done internationally and led by migrant and international trade councils like we are, to do it respectfully, to do it knowingly, to do it truthfully, and for all of us to actually play a part in the social, cultural, economic and environmental impact of the work that we can do together with First Nations people here. So it's a partnership. It's very much Susan and I, our partners in crime. And we welcome all your input into how to design and deliver this initiative so that it sticks, because we want it to be around when India turns 100. So thank you very much.
Can I thank you both again? This is actually a very, very unique event. And in another hat as the male patron of the Puya Foundation in Lockhart River in North Queensland Indigenous community, this initiative is incredibly important to Australia in every state and territory. And for Indu and Susan to do that is such a great initiative. Congratulations, and give them a big round of applause. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a fabulous display of restraint. It also is an example of the parliamentary system of democracy that we have. Protests. We are used to it outside Parliament and at functions like this as well. It tells us what's important and what needs to be heard. But of course, we move forward now. We have another keynote speech about something that's actually very, very important to us. It's about shaping a sustainable future. Not about disposable future, but about sustainable future. I'd like to invite Dr. Veena Sehajwala to come on stage now and give the keynote address and also tell us a little more about the sustainable future that holds a key to living well in the years to come ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, my excitement and my ban. It seems my speech or my note wasn't that sustainable. We'll move into the sustainable part a little later. My apologies. But having said that, we move into a panel discussion now and something that's going to be rapid fire. And to do that, I'd like to call on stage Jody McKay, one of the women I know who can wear a sari like no other woman.
Thank you very much, Karthik. I'm sure that when people invite me, they're actually inviting the sari, but it's lovely to see you all. I think all of you know how committed I am to the India-Australia relationship. Now, it has been a very big night full of speeches, but there are 4 people who I do want you to hear from. So if I could have your attention, it is really important that you know more about the India-Australia relationship, and particular the role of the diaspora in leveraging these incredible opportunities. So I want to introduce you to our panel. Our first speaker is Francis Lisson, who is the lead negotiator on the ECTA agreement with DFAT. We also have Deepak Bagla. Penny Wong mentioned Deepak. He's from Invest India, and we're so appreciative of you being here in Australia. Dan Hunter. Dan is the CEO of Business New South Wales, working in partnership with AIIBS. Welcome, Dan. And of course, we have our much loved, much respected CG. Please welcome Manish Gupta. Manish always gets a rock star welcome. All right, so I'm going to just throw some questions if I can. So all of you here, you're here because you believe in the India-Australia relationship, but it's important for those of you who are new to this space to understand what has been achieved. And Penny touched on this, the minister touched on this, but I do want to just turn to you, if I can, Francis, first. If you can all be quiet, just bear with me, because Francis has led the negotiation with India on this agreement. Francis, can you tell us what this acronym ECTA actually is, and 5 opportunities for business in Australia as a result of the work that you have done?
Thanks very much, Jody. Can you hear me?
No.
Thank you. Thanks, Jody. And good evening, everybody. Thank you for asking the question. We were very, very pleased to sign the ECTA agreement in April this year. It was a long time in the making. What it is the first trade agreement we have with India. It's also India's first free trade agreement with a Western developed country. So that means we're ahead of almost all our competitors in the market. So that's creating a whole lot of new opportunities for us. Importantly, the agreement eliminates tariffs on 90% of our trade with India. So that means that tariffs of 50% or more are going to be eliminated either immediately or just over a few years. So that gives us an enormous advantage. And that's across, I'll try and limit it to 5 key opportunities there. In agriculture, that means things like sheep meat will be the first country with complete tariff-free entry for sheep meat into India on day 1 of entry into force of the agreement. Other huge opportunities there, wine is another one where it's 150% tariff at the moment. It's going to be slashed on the first day the agreement comes in.
They're happy in this room, yeah?
There's also great opportunities in resources, in processed minerals, critical minerals in particular, which are going to really complement India's advanced technology aspirations. There's also great opportunities in manufacturing, in things like processed foods, processed fibers, and in mining equipment. And importantly, another one is pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, and nutraceuticals, where there's a big market there, and we're going to have a tariff elimination almost immediately. And lastly, on the education side, we've got some real incentives there to have Indian students come over to Australia with special post-study working rights that no other country has, and special extended working rights for STEM students. So there's some great opportunities there, but of course it's up to business to take advantage of those.
It is. Now, 3, you're about to enter the CECA negotiations, or in the middle of that. So this is about getting a very fulsome free trade agreement. What are 3 elements of the CECA that you want people to know about as you go into those discussions? Only 3.
Okay, we want to, firstly, deepen the market access in some of those areas that were a little sensitive for India to begin with, but we want to really make some more inroads there. Secondly, we want to get into the digital trade space, a really important area there. And then there's investment is another area where we want to really improve the environment for investment and two-way investment, which we think is really important for both countries.
Yeah, and I like how you're looking at Deepak then. So we'll go to Deepak. Deepak, you head Invest India, which is the government body responsible for attracting investment into India. You're a very good friend of Australia, but there are people in this room who probably don't understand the opportunities in India right now. What is Invest India doing, and how can people take advantage of what India has to offer, the new India?
But before that, can I please express my concern on this trade treaty? And as I said in the morning, Australia will now have access to our cricket bats and our hockey.
Yeah.
And I think that is not very fair. But moving beyond that, seeing that life is not always very fair, Invest India has been created as a single point of contact for any investor looking to work on the India opportunity. Essentially, I have 4 verticals. The first is investment promotion and facilitation. There's a dedicated team. I have my colleague Sai Sudha with me and many others, which are dedicated to work with any investor from Australia. And they work with you through your entire investment cycle, helping you showcase the opportunity, getting you approvals, and handhold you even after your investment is there. And I must add to that we don't charge anything for our fees. The second more important one is that we are the execution arm for Startup India. And startup is one of the biggest stories of India. If I may just add, ma'am, with your permission, something which just started 65 months ago by the Honorable Prime Minister, January 16, 2016, to be precise. India today is number 3 in the world in number of unicorns, number 2 in the world in number of startups, and number 1 in the world with new startups adding every day. That's the pace. I still have time to go.
No, keep going. Yeah.
They
want to hear more. They wouldn't clap you if they don't want to hear more. Yeah.
The third element is innovation, what we call as the accelerated growth of New India innovation, where what we're doing is taking all innovation within the government and taking it out into the private space, and also seeing whatever innovation is happening outside, bringing it into the government. And that, I think, is also one of the stated objectives of the Honorable Prime Minister. It's called the Prime Minister's Science and Technology Initiative. And I must add here, there's some remarkable elements which are happening, especially on things like waste to wealth and other such things. And I think those are things, again, where we will be partnering with a number of companies out of Australia. The last part is digitizing the entire investor journey in India. From the moment you can see the opportunity in India to applying for that land, which a lot of you did have some challenges at some point of time, to getting your approvals, to getting your business started, everything is now moving online. And that is a result of something which the Prime Minister launched in 2015, the Digital India Initiative. And I must tell you there very quickly, and I did mention it this morning, if data is the new oil, India today, well, before that, 2015, India's global position on per capita data consumption was 122. Last year, it was number 1 in the world. India consumed more per capita data than China and the US put together. And just to put it in perspective, what has really happened with this digitization and data, for the first time in human economic history, a brand new company got 100 million new customers in 180 days. And the cost of acquisition per customers were 1/5 of that of a global average. Today in India, you can open a bank account in under 5 minutes, and an MSME can get a loan in under 59 minutes. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the way New India is progressing. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepak. And Sai is also here. Sai, do you want to just put up your hand? So if anyone would like to talk to Deepak or Sai about investing in India and the support offered by the Indian government, I know both would be very, very happy to engage in that discussion. So thank you. And thank you, Deepak. You're a great friend of Australia and particularly the AIIBC. Your presence here is very much appreciated. Let's look at New South Wales businesses now. If I can go to Dan Hunter. And can I say to you, Dan, thank you for working in partnership with AIIBC because we are much stronger when we're all working together. Do you think that New South Wales businesses, however, understand fully the opportunities that India offers?
Sure, thanks, Jody, and fantastic to be a partner on this fantastic event. We sat down in a coffee shop not that long ago with yourself and Irfan, and it just made perfect sense. And I actually want to start with the values that we share, and I'll get to your question. The values that we share as Australia and India go much further than just cricket and curry. And you only have to look around this room at the moment. We have shared values and we have so much in common that I think we have this massive opportunity that we can capitalize on. And I think where people struggle, when New South Wales businesses struggle sometimes, is they don't know how. Now, we heard earlier that India is becoming less and less complex and difficult to do business. And I think that's true. But I think where businesses probably struggle is that they need to see somebody else do it. We need to see these amazing case studies. Now, what I see when I look around the room tonight, as I see, it's one of my favorite phrases, but I see this generosity of spirit. Yeah. There's a generosity of spirit in everyone that is here tonight. Everybody is here for the right reasons. And everyone is here, I think, because they can see the opportunity and they want to give something back. So I think my call to arms is we've got this amazing intersection of people here tonight, you know, coming together, intersecting almost on a perpendicular angle, coming together. And I think we need to pay it forward. We need to pay it forward to those businesses in New South Wales and in India and show them actually how this is done. And we need to show them the case studies on how it's done. And we need to pave the way, because quite frankly, it's amazing when you look at the trade agreement, why it wasn't done earlier. It's probably one of the first places.
I think they've tried for 15 years.
Yeah, that is true. That is fair. I know it was a tough negotiation, by the way.
It's tough being the lead negotiator.
But it makes so much sense. And I think we're all here to better that. So yeah, I'll leave it there, Jodie. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dan. And as I said, you're just here wanting to know more about the whole India-Australia bilateral relationship is just fantastic. We so appreciate it. And David Borges has been texting me, telling me that Business Western Sydney, there he is over there, Business Western Sydney wants to take a delegation to India. So don't worry. I hope you're ready for that, Deepak.
I think we're all very keen to be a part of a delegation. So yeah, we should definitely do it.
Thank you, Dan. Okay, last question because we need to move on. CG, as I said, you are much loved, much respected in this community. You know India, you know Australia, you know many people in this room by name. You have become friends with so many of us. What do we need to do, however, to make sure that our amazing, vibrant, ambitious, energetic Indian Australian community is used more by government to actually leverage if we leverage them more in this relationship with India and Australia? And you know my views on this. I believe firmly in the role of the diaspora in this relationship. What do we need to do to make that happen more?
Many thanks. And I think so. You being a media personality, a politician, a very popular person with the Indian Australian community. You know the Indian community much more. But during my 3 years of stay over here, what I have observed is one of the challenges is about a limited awareness about India in the corporate boardrooms. I say awareness, some calls it the India literacy. But I think this is an issue that we as Indian Australian community needs to work. It's a work in progress because I see several members of the community now are at, let's say, middle management level. So this already is happening. But second point I realized, because Australian mindset, if I make a contrast with the Indian mindset, is a very structured one. It's more about institutions, people of frameworks, strategies. In India, many of our corporate groups can do these things, work on the go. So after the signing of the Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement, the ECTA, which the Hindi acronym would looks like a unity. So it's a time that we need to do away with our mental cobwebs. It's time to break the mental barriers. It's time to do away with the fear of the unknown. I think that's important. And that's where I think the Indian Australian community, AIIBC, also has a big, larger role to play. And I'm really happy after 2 years, when the summit returns, it returns in a much larger and a much comprehensive format. And that's what it is important. And the third point is all about making bridges, using the diaspora and leveraging it to the fullest. One important thing that's already happening, especially in the IT space, the Indian corporate companies are making bridges with the universities and research associations over here. So this is partly enthusing the universities and the research level setup. That's already happening. It's also equally important that we are able to attract the Australian students into India. So they are able to, even through internships and all, they should have some exposure to India and making a structured view out of that experience. And lastly, what is really important for all of us, especially the Indian Australian community who are sitting here, is think very clearly and in a very cogent manner. That's important. Because part of the time we end up doing is thinking of umbrella strategies, which sometimes not necessarily work. We have to be focused and we look after sector issues that can work in this relationship. And especially in the morning also, I was saying, the last 2.5 decades, we have a lot talked about the Indian IT success story. But as we move forward, we face the common challenges towards the renewable energies and all. And this is a big opportunity for cooperation for a country like India and Australia, which is so much resource rich. Look at the Indian scale of ambition. We are looking at producing 300,000 gigawatts of energy only through solar. So that provides ample opportunities, I think, where we all can work together.
Thank you, Consul General. The last word tonight, we're almost done. The last word tonight I'm going to give to Deepak. And again, thank you for visiting us here in Australia. And if you have any queries or questions, please see Deepak or Sai. And last word to you.
Thank you. Before that, may I please compliment the sari?
Oh, thank you.
Excellent. From all of us.
Everyone in this room is used to me wearing a sari, but thank you. It's very
So,
kind.
Give me a moment, because what I do want to tell you is how this relationship has actually progressed in the past 48 months. What I have in front of me is obviously a speech where I thank God and all of you. But more importantly, these are the business requests which my team has received from Australia in the past 48 months. You know what's interesting? These are 259 requests. And what I want to read out to you is the list of industries. You'll have to bear with me because I'm going to take you to 33 of these sectors. And the reason why I'm reading this out to you is to show you that this relationship has really started moving. When we started in West India in 2015, the number of sectors across the relationship were not more than 11. And today I'm bringing to you a list of 33, and I'll read them very quickly. Food processing does remain on top of the agenda. Large number of food processing interests, which we are seeing from Australia, looking at India, IT, BPM, tourism and hospitality, and I'll add wellness to it. By the way, this morning we had a discussion where we would love to see if we can open one of the best wellness centers in the world in Australia. And I promise you, Excellencies here, we'll send you the best yoga experts. Metals and mining always remains the top one. Construction. This one's picking up very significantly. Not very surprising, India is now the biggest construction market in the world where that is concerned. Textiles and garments, again, Judy, this one's picking up very significantly. Energy, you spoke about it. Retail and e-commerce, the largest retail market in the world. 1.6 billion consumers in the next 10 years. Healthcare. I think we've all learned what this one was. The past 24 months have been brutal. And what we've learned there, that this has now become center plate. And I'm seeing a lot of interest on healthcare actually from both sides. Oil and gas, medical devices, and we do them really well. It's now they're going out to the rest of the world too, Dan. I'm completing this lady, just bear with me, but this one is important for all of you. Leather, all your shoes, consumer goods, electronic systems, education and skill development. This is your favorite. And we also need a lot of support of that one, but I think we really need to relook on how we are looking at that one. Because it's not just getting you another 40,000 students from India. The number is huge. Of my 1.4 billion, I have 1 billion under the age of 35. I need to skill them. They need to get educated. And they need to get educated and skilled at different price points than the ones which are there now. Automobile, one of the fastest growing markets in the world, media and entertainment. You've seen Bollywood. I mean, Jaani Bhi Do Yaaro and all those have been shot here, some of my favorite movies. But more than that, I think this is where now you'll see a large traction happening. Both chemicals are good old pharmaceuticals. Again, this COVID has taught us, and this is where I think there is a water value add which we can bring. This is something to be looked at more carefully. Capital goods, defense manufacturing, roads and highways, the world's largest infrastructure spend is now happening in India. I know, Judy, you're getting impatient. You know, I always take time when I have to.
Do you want me to photocopy it?
Yeah, no, this goes on. Airports.
You have too much to boast about.
This is not, this is all Australian business requests
Okay, we
which
have too
come
much to
to us.
boast about.
Airports. We are the fastest growing aviation market in the world. In fact, we've just placed orders where we'll have at least 2 aircrafts delivered to us every week for the next 15 years. That's the pace at which we are growing. We'll be looking at another 110 airports, at least in the next decade. We are seeing a lot of your interest coming in. Auto components, waste management. This, my friends, is something we need to pick up much more and work together on. Banking and financial services, that has been the old favorite, Judy. I'm coming to the end. No, I can see the impatience. EVs, electrical vehicles, a lot happening on that side. And I'm seeing a lot of manufacturing happening in India, and we're seeing a lot of partnership between our two countries. Ports and shipping, this is your favorite, Judy.
Ports and shipping, my favorite saris. Let's get it out there.
I said textiles at number 7.
Oh, good. Okay, right.
Took it at the top 5. Aviation, I told you, the fastest growing aviation market in the world, both for domestic tourism and global. We've been discussing how to get you more Indian tourists. There'll be a time you'll be saying, guys, just take it a little easy. You know, we are 1.4 billion today. We will be 1.6 billion. 20% of the world's middle class will be with us by 2047. So you see, they will all be traveling. Renewable energy, very big. And it is huge for us. And it is to be thought of in a completely different manner, where you'll need to get each household their own energy source independently by themselves. Logistics, telecom, and the last one, biotechnology.
Biotechnology. There we go.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Deepak. And thank
I
you
just
for
want to let you know, this journey has just begun.
Thank you.
And we have a
Deepak.
long way to go.
Thank you. And thank you for the support you're giving Australian businesses. We have a small gift for you, for all our panelists. Can we do it later? Let me come out and I'll talk to you. Okay, I'm coming. Can I also just say to all of you, please join the AIIBC. If you want to participate in this whole broader discussion about the Australia-India relationship, please join the AIIBC. Where are the rest?
Ladies and gentlemen, that was some food for thought. And there's nothing like words. But having said that, there is nothing more spectacular than a woman wearing a sari. For those of you who don't know what a sari is, it's a 6-yard length of cloth that is around a woman and the way she carries it. It's got a number of pleats. It doesn't have any belts, no clips, and it still hangs onto the body magically. Having said that, they come in all sorts of embroideries and they're beautiful. And only a person with extreme skill can wear that. So at least for everyone in the house who loves a sari or loves beautiful models and women, we have a gorgeous fashion show for you. And there is a glimpse of India in every sari that you can see from all the corners of India. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to present a very special show. Our models will be featuring saris from all parts of India, including some very special ones, as we take you on this fantabulous journey. The show will start with Saroni Roy in a Tosha silk sari from Assam. The woven motifs depict birds sitting under the shade of a tree. The inspiration for the motifs on these saris is drawn from nature that are mostly flowers, ferns, trees, butterflies, birds and animals. Some saris also have geometric patterns inspired by nature. The common colors used are red and black. Saroni is showcasing the Bengali drape. After Saroni, we have Punita Yadav, draped in a double ikat sari from Puchamapalli in the state of Telangana. This is an incredibly complicated process as the weaver has to precisely dye the threads and place them correctly. It can take a minimum of 2 months to weave one sari. Traditionally, the ikat saris from this place have geometric patterns, but these days they have animal motifs. Next up, we have Baluchari saris, which are woven in the town of Bishnupur in West Bengal. The complex process involves drawing the designs on paper and then transferring the same to punch cards. The design on the pallu of these saris are elaborate and inspired by tales from Hindu epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata. Sona Rawal is showcasing the Baluchari sari. Next up, we have Sheila Nair, who is in a Gadwal sari woven in Gadwal in the South Indian state of Telangana. Gadwal saris are also woven using the jacquard weaving style. The body and the pallu of these saris are woven separately, and the borders of the pallu of these saris are always silk, and most of the motifs are paisley, elephants, and peacocks. Kashmiri artists are famous all around the world for their intricate embroidery and craftsmanship. The sari draped by Rakhi Chandra has Sozni embroidery done on it. Sozni is a sophisticated and popular needlepoint embroidery which is practiced only in the Kashmir Valley and was brought from India from Persia. This artwork has been practiced in the valley since the 14th century. Rakhi has given an innovative twist to give the sari a very different look. And now to scintillate, we've got Kantha embroidery, which symbolizes women's empowerment. It is the traditional folk art of West Bengal and was popularized by the women there. There is no set rules to this embroidery and it's completely based on the imagination of the artist. So let your imagination fly. Swarnal Sikdar in a Kantha embroidered sari draped to give it a modern look. Anjana Panikar presents the Odisha weave. The East Indian state of Odisha has the most number of different weaves. This particular sari has a tribal-inspired pallu. These saris are very commonly seen. Most Odisha saris follow the ikat weaving technique. When the Parsis migrated to India from Persia, they brought with them the wealth of their cultural heritage and arts. Apart from their cuisines, their embroidered saris became very, very famous. Also called Gara saris, these are painstakingly embroidered by hand. The saris are featured in many events and across their cultures. As the Gara saris were the Parsi women's historical challenge to the European dress worn by the Europeans and British women at parties, Sharon Axel has given the drape a contemporary look to be able to stand to the test of the most modern times. It's believed that the Himru weaving style was also brought to India by the Persians. There are very few Himru weavers in India today, as this craft is a closely guarded secret. The weave received a lot of patronage from the time of the Mughals. The word Himru in Persian means similar. The weave is a replication of the Kini Khwab, which was originally woven for the royal families using pure gold and silver threads. Nikita is draped in a beautiful Himru sari and in a very trendy style. Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand and a round of applause for the two showstoppers coming up next. Purnima Menon, who has curated this entire collection and also coordinated this beautiful display of tapestry of saris, with Auntie Beryl, who shows us what it means to embody the power of a woman. Ladies and gentlemen, women in saris, embodying the spirit of courage. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you who would like to buy or adorn yourself with this beautiful sari as a gift or for someone to wear, contact Purnima Menon. Saris of India, enigmatic, excellent, and unforgettable. Ladies and gentlemen, the last time to give a round of applause to these beautiful women who are leaving us now and wearing their regular clothes. Women in saris, unforgettable. Dosto, ladies and gentlemen, this is the last opportunity that I get to come up here and meet all of you once again with my voice and also make eye contact. Thank you so much for being a part of Australia-India Business Summit 2022. There'll be many more to come, but having said that, the night is still young. So please, network, meet your friends, exchange ideas, and more than that, commit yourself to moving together forward in forging deeper relationships between the two countries at various levels, be it cultural, business, or otherwise. And of course, if you meet your life partner here, that just makes another different level of relationship. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much from the AIIBC and its management team. I'd like to invite Irfan Malik and also the ex-chair of AIIBC, Sheba Nankular, to come and give a vote of thanks and also share some special thoughts and words with us about a lot that's happening in the two countries. One of the events to look forward to is the Cricket World Cup that's coming up, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who are interested in that, there are some seats available for the India-Pakistan match and for the India-Australia match. So those of you who will pay attention to Sheba's speech, there are tickets to be won. So ladies and gentlemen, I don't have mine. I'm going to shut up now and listen to what she has to say because I want those seats.
Thank you. Thank you, Karthik. Now, Karthik has said that I have got India-Pakistan matches. Tickets for India-Pakistan match? Unfortunately, no. If I can just request everyone to sit down for a quick minute, please, everyone. We do owe it to all these organizers, especially Irfan and his team, who have worked so hard. I can just request you to just sit down for a few minutes. I promise you it's not going to be long, but I think it's nice to finish off in a nice little positive note. I'm very privileged to share that we have the T20 World Cup team with us today. And thank you, Michael. He's right there. Michael, if you can just stand up and just wave your hand. Thank you so much for being with us today. And they've been doing an amazing job. Only 53 days to go. And I've actually got the CEO of T20 World Cup was supposed to be here. She couldn't be here. She's told me, Shiva, can you please read out this message for all the members of AIIBC? I said, definitely. So first of all, my sincere apologies. I can't be here in person with you all tonight. I wish the AIIBC leadership, the national chair, Jim, Irfan, New South Wales president, and the leadership and members, all guests, a very happy 75th Independence Day on behalf of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2022. Would you believe it? After 2 years in the making, we have just 53 days to go. How many of you are actually attending the matches? Please put up your hands. Wow, that's only 35%. We should have seen 100%. So the World Cup is really for everyone, an amazing celebration of cricket and of so many different cultures. So basically, just to cut it short, I think I'd really want to share something which I just learned from the CEO's letter. That is, can somebody tell me how long did it take for the Pakistan-India matches to sell out? Oh, no, I knew you would know it. That's His Excellency, High Commissioner, Mr. Manpreet Vora. He's won the prize. There's going to be a little prize for it, and he got it. 5 minutes. That's all it took. All the tickets sold out. So that's where it is. So in ending, I would just say that you can still be a part. Join Squad Team, go into social media, click there, become a fan and engage with Squad Team India, and you'll get lots of news of what's happening. Just as a wrap up, I just thought I might also, is Ravneet around? Ravneet, would you like to come up also? Is Ravneet there? Where are you? Come along, come up. So Ravneet is our AIIBS Victoria president, and we work quite closely. She's also with Deakin University doing an amazing job. So Ravneet, what I thought was I was just going to wrap up, but before I do, did you have anything that you wanted to share with everyone? Ravneet's come all the way from India. She's based in India.
Thank you, Shiba. Very good evening, everyone. I know you must have heard a lot about the Australia-India relationship. I'm just going to leave you with 3 things, or 3 words actually, that I think we all in this room must think about as we go forward into this amazing journey into the New India relationship. The first and the most important is trust. How many of us agree with that? Come on. Yes. I think the second to me is commitment, because we will have highs and we will have lows. So we've got to stay committed to this relationship. The third is passion, because without passion, we will not achieve anything, friends. Let's put our hands together for all of us in this room and the Australia-India relationship.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ravneet. So just a very quick wrap up. I did want to thank Honorable Minister Penny Wong. She had to leave for another commitment. His Excellency High Commissioner Manpreet Vora has been an amazing inspiration from the day one that you have arrived. And thank you for all your support, and a big hand for him, please. Assistant Minister Tim Myers, he's been amazing. He came in from the airport yesterday and he was straight into our event. Honorable Scott Farlow, thank you so much for always being with us. Julian Leeser has left. Former Prime Minister Tony Abbott, as well as Honorable Minister Andrew Robb, whom we have worked very, very closely with over the years. Thank you for always being with us and for always providing those little tips of nuggets of guidance. Andrew Shelton, he's left, as also Julian Leeser, and of course, wonderful former Peter Cosgrove, Governor General. Thank you, everyone. Jim, thank you. You always make time for whatever is happening in any state. So Jim, as a national chair, has been an amazing leader. Thank you for whatever you've done. Irfan and his team have been amazing. Zaved and so many other people, and the Secretariat. In closing, I'd just like to kind of capture, and some amazing things have happened. Guys, did you all love the Young Business chapter, Young Business Leaders chapter launch? Yes? I could see they were in great demand by our Honorable Minister Penny Wong, as well as a former Prime Minister Tony Abbott. And they themselves said, oh my God, we didn't expect this, but that's a future. And that's what AIIBS believes in. The Indigenous chapter launch was another amazing event that happened today, and a milestone event because no other business council has actually done it before. So in just passing, I think I just want to share what Minister Penny Wong spoke about. about her father, who said that education is central to everything. You can take away everything, but not my education. I want to flip it over. When it comes to the Indian audience, you always grow up with the stuff, what your parents tell you. Oh, I don't know what I can do for you, but at least I'll give you education. And that's really important for us and central to everything. This relationship is literally jumping day by day, incrementally, and in fact, very rapidly. And the Indian diaspora of over 720,000 people are going to play a very important role in educating, connecting, and being that bridge. So that's pretty much from my end. I didn't really want to have a long drawn out wrap up, but in closing, I would request perhaps Daryl, if you could just play the video, because in 53 days, something very exciting is happening. And I hope that we'll see India and Australia in the finals of the T20 World Cup. Over to you, Daryl.
Champions for 2021.
Sydney, with its beautiful beaches and world-famous Harbour Bridge and Opera House, is where you'll see some of the biggest games of the T20 World Cup. The iconic SCG will feature the opening match of the Super 12, and what a blockbuster it will be. Hosts and defending champions Australia up against New Zealand in a rematch of the 2021 final. Sydney will host 6 Super 12 stage matches, including Pakistan against South Africa in the evening match. And when it's down to the final 4, the SCG will host the first semi-final on November 9.
Any bites yet, Grandpa? Those of you heading southbound on your way to work today should expect some delays.
They're back. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. As a token of appreciation and thank you to my co-chair for the summit, Shiba Nandikulia, I invite Jim to offer floor.
This is good. This is state and national.
And I also invite all the state and national leadership of AIIBS to come to the stage, again, recognizing all your support in coordination and execution of this event. Thank you. I can request all the state and national leadership of AIIBS to come on the stage. And I'll also request Honorable High Commissioner Manpreet Vora ji and also Deepak Bagla ji, if you can join us on the stage along with our leadership. And also Manish Gupta ji, if we can come get you to the stage as well.
And can I also ask the past chairs of the AIIBS that are here to also come up? We've got Brian Hayes,
Dipen
Rugani, and Neville Roach. Neville Roach, don't disappear. We want you here for a photo. Neville Roach. So I'd like to see the past chairs of the AIIBS up here, because this is a seminal event. It's bringing it all together.
No, I just want to say something. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention, please. The Secretariat that has worked very hard, if I could have your... The Secretariat that's worked very hard to make this happen with the team from New South Wales has refused to come on stage. So when you leave tonight, if you could actually say thank you to Kritika and to Kritika Bansal and Sam Dutt for their tireless work that they've done for the past 4 weeks. This is the national team, New South Wales Management Committee and immediate past presidents, Emeritus, His Excellency. I think there's some people that don't have anything, so as they walk off the stage, we'll give them something. Thank you so much. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, just one last thing. Thank you to all our sponsors and table sponsors, but hello. Can I just ask that if you are wishing to take the flowers only home, that you are more than welcome to do so, because they will be thrown out. So we don't want it to go to waste. Please do help yourself. Thank you.